Somebody has been banned for committing a crime on the rugby pitch. Nico Lee of the Cheetahs. I think he conducted what you would call a snot rocket.
Yeah.
Snot shot.
It's the weirdest one, because even when the sighting came through, they always give you the minute. So I tend to go back and check the game and have a look and see what's he going to get here. But this one, look back, and all I saw was Fenga's reaction. Then I thought Nico Lee was actually apologising, kind of putting his hands up to his face like, sorry. But actually, it turns out he was closing one nostril to get a bit more power and empty the content onto Fenga's face. It's the most bizarre thing I've seen on a rugby pitch for a long time.
It's so disgusting. 13. He's banned for 13 games. Is it, as opposed to
essentially
13 weeks?
Season is over. He's out until July. 13 game weeks. He's gone. He put out an apology on Twitter through his club yesterday. He forgot to mention Colby Fenga. Actually, he apologised to everyone else. But pretty embarrassing for him. And the language in the citing kind of statement is just interesting. Just talking about how he was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And just how strange an act it was. They said it was worst. Barring obviously injury and foul play, it was as bad an act as you can imagine.
What a clown.
pretty grim. I'd love. Is there any way to understand the thought process when you're in a pretty dangerous physical situation? You're trying to clear out a ruck, and then you have a moment of clarity, the light bulb moment. I'm going to snot rocket on the guy's face below me. It's really. I don't know what level he needed to go to mentally to that suddenly to pop into his head.
Was he storing it for that particular moment? Would you reckon? You know,
like
a pelican of some sort.
I don't think there was even anything between the two players off the ball before that.
There is a real good technique to that. You watch John Terry back in the day, like a technical wizard at the snot rocket. Oh my God! But at least he was aiming it at the floor.
Yeah,
most of the time.
I think the other thing you compare it to maybe is spitting, which is probably something that happens just so rashly. Like I've never spat at someone, but I can imagine it's just a spur of the moment thing where people lose the head. And
you may be too young to remember Frank Rijkaard, Dutch legend playing midfield AC Milan in a World Cup game, Holland against Germany.
Rudy Voller
gobbed into Rudy Voller's ear, like not the earlobe. I reckon he got it into his brain. So it's worth looking up on YouTube as a comparative.
That's a famous one, yeah.
Yeah.
It was. You mentioned there, Murray, about spitting. You reckon it's instinctive, and we were talking about this earlier. Like we were talking about snot rockets, but I don't know. I don't agree. I don't think. Like
I don't understand it, to be honest.
Well, it's not instinctive to you, Roy, and it's not instinctive to you, Andy. Usually, anyway. Well, you have a spit cup there if people don't see the video. But it's like I think you have to, as you said, Andy. It's a moment of clarity where you actually consciously make the decision to do this to somebody. I don't think it's instinctive.
It's a learned skill.
Disgusting.
Yeah. The ban was 26-week entry point. So that was, they said it was a top end offence. Obviously, you get 50% struck off these days for he admitted the facts, which were pretty clear, I think. And he was kind of embarrassed in the disciplinary hearing. So that gets you 13 weeks off, which is, I guess, pretty lenient. I get the thing that's been interesting is people have been comparing it to other bans in rugby, though. Yeah. Like Rory Cockett recently, essentially a gouge on Chris Clute, gets a 3-week ban. Matthew Bastrou is the other one that stands out back in September, where he got a 5-week ban for striking a cast player in the back of the head with his kind of forearm, a prone player on the ground. Really shocking incident. So I guess it brings into question that balance. Like what is worse? One of those strikes, a gouge, or I guess the snot rocket is pretty bad as well.
It's very bad, but like it does kind of make you question the length of some of the bans on the basis that it reminds me a little bit of when you mentioned the Voller thing there with Rijkaard, and like it's always said in sport, like spitting at someone, or not even in sport, outside of it, spitting at someone's the worst thing you can do. And like it is absolutely disgusting and so disrespectful, but like there are worse things you can do. And the bans for those are short.
Someone's eye is right up there.
You could stamp a guy's leg and break it. That's worse than getting spit in your face.
Yeah.
But the ban is shorter.
What's the worst that's happened to you, Andy? Playing.
Alan Quinlan stamping on my ribs.
When was this?
Connacht v Munster. I think he well, he could certainly see me because I was pleading with him not to do it as my arms were being held at the bottom of a ruck. But he pleaded innocence later on over a beer. I was having none of it. I could see him doing it.
So. You've clearly gotten over this over the years.
Yeah, well, you could see it happening. You could see it about to happen, then feel it happening.
Did you actually ask him there and then not to do it?
I said, don't do it, yeah. Yeah, he did
Do you
it.
think if you hadn't asked, he might not have done it?
I don't think any of what I said mattered. I was in the way of the ball. You know, I remember a club player down, a guy who'd come up from New Zealand playing amateur level in Old Belvedere when I was 18 or 19 and got absolutely shooed out of the way of a ruck. But I always laughed and remember he was shouting, fear enough, because he was like, I'm on the wrong side, you can kick lumps out of me. So that was the New Zealand mentality at the time. So
That was interesting.
take it on the chin, get on with it. Although I drag Quinny into it while I'm at it.
But he couldn't resist when he sees an opposition playmaker, especially on the ground. It was interesting to see Greg Laidlaw recently. You saw Sean O'Brien and Peter O'Mahony with their hands on the ball, and he went for a bit of a shoe. And the two of them seemed to be outraged by it, although they were both off their feet slowing down the ball. It really has kind of gone out of the game, hasn't it? That old school shoeing. Some people are desperate to bring it back in, but really I don't think that's a good idea.
I once got a stamp. I'd come back from an ankle injury. I was playing for Bath against London Irish, and I got it turns out accidental stamp on the ankle 5 minutes into the game. I contorted it into like I was being targeted, which I wasn't that good. They're targeting my ankle, and I stood up and I punched the 6'8" London Irish number 8 Phil Murphy in the chest. I couldn't reach. At which point he laughed, and the referee yellow carded me. So it was pretty. It was a low moment in my rugby career.